Welcome to elenasbarre low impact full body workouts. On this channel you find different format workouts that will help you to tone up your muscles, improve your posture, gain overall strength, endurance, balance and flexibility. Check more classes on elenasbarre Patreon. Join us for my crazy piano practice on Sundays. We also talk about controversial topics that can trigger you. You participate in our conversations voluntarily at your own risk. Read the disclaimer in the description box. If you don't want to be mentally or physically challenged, I suggest that you skip this video. Thank you so much for your understanding. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to elenasbarre. Today we have Glenn Lawrence, our special guest, with his new hairstyle. Thank you, Glenn, for...
I just brushed my hair for once, okay? It's not a new hairstyle. I've had this hairstyle for a minute. You sounding like one of those fads. I don't know which one you are, though.
You just say that you prepped it for this show, so you had to go
I did
live.
brush it for the show. It was like, it was messy. I was like, wait a minute, you want to do this? Okay, let me just brush my hair real quick.
Okay, that was the story. Okay, that was the story that, he's telling us. Anyway,
but I did take a little longer than normal.
Yeah. Today, we are diving into a very interesting topic. We are going to find out the difference between the traditional conservatives and the Tradwives. So, Glenn, let's get into the nuts and bolts. Tell us what's the difference between the two.
Well, like, one is LARPing, and the other ones are like, it's their life, you know? And, like, you know how you could tell the difference between something is like a fake and something that's like real, and most of the time is that the fake looks too good to be true.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I know a couple guys that have like fake like Rolexes, right? They're like huge. They look super gaudy, right? They're almost like you know when you like don't drink enough water and your urine's like super dark gold. Right, it's like that level of like gold on their wrist, and it's like that's how you know it's a fake, when it just draws too much attention to it, you know. So the fact that they're drawing attention to themselves the way that they are, that's how you know it's a fake. It's a scam. Like, it's a good grift. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a really good. Now here's the sad thing. I wish it wasn't a grift, though. I really do. Because part of me says like, oh, finally, there's women out here hearing guys say they don't want a 304. Maybe they heard Elena say, shame these whores enough, and that they're stopping, and they're like, we're gonna adopt a new way of doing things. We'll be conservative, right? Like, but we know that's not what it is, right?
Yeah.
So
I see this too, and they are virtue signaling to men because their target audience is not women. Other women don't like them.
Oh yeah, like, and here, I want to play the difference between the two. I want you to listen to the way this girl talks about all of us, okay? And then I need you to let me pull up the video.
Which one? The duck here?
No, the one next to it.
Next to it, okay.
Part 2 of some conventional or unconventional things.
No, like pause that one. Like, pull that here. Let me pull that one out. The one next to it, the other one, the other video.
An ongoing rift among conservatives.
Right. Okay.
So let me get to it. All right, we're gonna listen to our good friend, our favorite. All right.
Having flashbacks.
Here we go.
Pill movement, the red pill movement, the trad movement, and the patriarchist movement are all trends happening on the secular and the Christian right that I think that we should be really concerned about. And the Christian right could maybe be called like the trad movement, or in some cases the red pill movement. These things, a strange collection of perpetually online men who complain about women and equate, like in some of these circles, it's looked down upon to be in a monogamous relationship or in a marriage at all. In some, they emphasize the importance of getting a trad, service-oriented, submissive wife.
Right there. Do you hear what she said? Trad,
yeah. Submissive wife.
Oriented, submissive wife. So it's like Do you see the way that she framed it up with her words? Like basically she's saying these women are uber submissive. Like they're not just submissive, because the Bible tells all women to be submissive, submit to your wife or your husband, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But the level of submission or the level of like the way that they show it is beyond hers. And she has a problem with it. Do you hear the way her tone?
I can hear it. Yeah.
She has a problem. The way that she framed it up and the way that she delivered it shows you that she has a problem with their level of submission because it surpasses hers.
Yeah, I hear the contempt in her voice, and it is contempt.
Yep.
Basically, this group, both of those who are like, no, I'm non-monogamous, and I think, being a strong man is really just kind of sowing my wild oats everywhere. And the side that's like, oh no, we need to get married to like the most submissive trad wife out there.
Why did she say it twice? Like, do you see how many, just listen to how many times she brings up the word submissive. And it's hilarious because so far within less than a minute, she did it twice. All right.
Groups, it seems, from kind of what they're saying, they view girls or depict women as dumb, as promiscuous, all as radical feminists. They believe that feminism is the cause of all of our problems. They're really not that different than incels.
Hey,
Oh, I don't
Lauren
have the
Chen
full one
here.
here.
Let's
So,
talk about
okay.
the trap.
So they're not that much different from incels. All right. So basically, guys that like call out women's bad behavior were incels, apparently. Guys that want a submissive wife were incels, apparently, right? Now, here's the difference. That's a Tradcon. You saw that she's a Tradcon. Okay.
By the way, I'm gonna have to tell Elena that I'm an incel.
You are an incel. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Just for calling out my bad behavior.
Yes. Yes.
Sure.
All right, here we go. Here is a trad wife.
CEO outpost.
Tradwife is trending online, fueled by a TikTok influencer who uses the term to refer to herself and how she sees her.
Okay,
role
look
in her
at for one. Look at the way that she's presenting herself.
I see the big boobs there.
No, do not. It is. She made sure that when she presents herself like attractive. Okay, for her, right? Now let's go back.
Yeah, this girl is bundled up. She's covered.
She's covering up. She looks kind of like she's not unattractive, she's not ugly, but she's just like she made sure she's not like dressing to impress, right? Trad wives dress to impress. They want every time
they impressing, Glenn. Sorry, my question is that they don't really appeal to women, right? They are showing off to other men.
All this is for men. None of this is not to this is not to inspire any woman to be like her. No, what she's doing, she's virtue signaling to the women that hate on her, their husbands. She wants their husbands to like her. And that's what's happening. This is not real. Like this is like kayfabe. This is like wrestling. Okay. This is like what me and Paul did. What she's doing, this is a grift. Now, she may be just making money hand over fist with this whole thing. We don't know what's real with her and her relationship with her husband. We really don't know. But we know that that's definitely playing a part. This is not real. This is like it's now, okay, I could be wrong. She could be really this person, but the reason why I don't think it's real, you wouldn't put it out there publicly.
And
right?
This is
here's the other thing.
Yeah.
If you were my wife and you were putting this out there, and I know the struggles of all men, and you're throwing these videos out there, I know that all these men that see this, that like this, are now going to try to slide in your DMs. Now, why would I let you do that? Why would I let you like just all of a sudden create all this competition for me? I wouldn't. I'd be like, no, it's not happening. You're not doing that. Right? So really all she's doing is like flexing. She's not talking to women. She's signaling to men. And you know what? It worked. Want me to tell you why it worked? Can you put up the other video?
Sure.
Let me show you. Is it up here? Oh, back here. Okay, here we go.
Unconventional things. Me and my. Welcome back to part 2.
Oh, did I? Is it back here? Let me see.
It's safe.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. Can we go to the other one? I didn't grab the right one.
Tradwife is short
All
for a traditional.
Where is it at?
There
All right.
is an ongoing rift among
Let me grab the right one. I'm sorry. So there's
Okay,
this is
I don't need to listen to Anna Kasparian on this subject.
like
That's
let me explain something. There's something that that's happened about this girl that no one was expecting. Literally, no one was expecting this. What happens next? Okay, because it just all right. Can you put that one up?
an ongoing rift among.
Just watch. Here we go. Oh, we're gonna get to that story too, because that's part of it. The Rolo tweet. Okay, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
So check this out. This dude, this guy, divorces his wife after 12 years of marriage. And because he started complaining to his wife about her looks and her cooking after he was watching this Tradwife videos.
Wow.
So
this movement creates more damage for our society rather than helping women to become more traditional.
We don't know yet. Because here's the thing. I think it's a grift. I think it's the conservative version of OnlyFans. Or it's the red pill version of OnlyFans, right? It's like the Jesus approved version of OnlyFans because they're not getting naked, they're making cakes, right? They're not getting naked, they're baking cookies.
Yeah, right? With the slinky dresses to show off all of their pretties.
But it's like, but it's not, but they're not like skimpy. They're not like the dresses that the girls wear on Access Vegas, right? Ooh. We call those dresses hoes, right? But the way that they're presenting themselves, we wouldn't call them hoes because they're not like revealing and they're not trying to show cleavage. It's just the way that it fits them, like you see what I'm saying? So it's like they get to fly under the radar. They get to come off like they're innocent. We're not. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to attract any attention. I'm not showing off my cleavage. I don't mean to. Everyone covered up, right? Like, but they know what they're doing. They are the opposite side of feminism or opposite side of OnlyFans.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because she actually posted, and I saw this months ago. She posted a video where she was explaining how she got to this Tradwife thing, and she talks about, I was I was big into fitness. I was at the gym. I was wearing all the hot clothes, and my dad was really egging me on, and I just didn't want to do that. And she mentions, her dad was involved. So, in this.
Was her dad pimping her out?
Yes. And she mentions offhandedly, as women do, she had a boob job.
Well, I mean,
and so
is that really a big deal though? Like, I mean, that's just
it's not, except she says later in the video, I thought about having it undone.
Then why hasn't she undone it? I believe it when I see it. Women's words mean nothing until you see the proof of it.
Well, why would she? That's stupid. I have never heard a woman say I want to get rid of my boobs. I've heard people say, "Oh, I didn't mean to go that big." I'm like, "Yes, you did. Yes,
yeah.
Stop. Stop.
Who are you lying to? No, but she gave the standard excuse of but it's a lot of weight to carry around, and my back hurts. And I was sitting there groaning, going, "Oh, but okay,
let's just be real. She's not in shape. No, she's a shape, but she's not really in shape. She's rather thick. She's
not anymore.
She's thicker than a Snickers, and it's like, no, you're not in shape, girl. You are a shape.
Well, and she showed some pictures in the video, and she was back then when she was in the gym. You're right, she is not anymore. But
Well,
that
so
actually
now
fits
if
with the
she-
Tradwife movement. You're
Mhm.
not supposed to be.
But she's like a full, but she's like a full figured woman. 'Cause, I mean, she got curves. She carries it well. Let's get it right. Like, I'm not saying she's like a ugly fat lard. You know, no, she's not that. She carries her weight well, but you know, she's still not like in shape. Like, she can't compete with the chicks that, you know, on Twitter that show their workout photos and like you see their butthole and through their pants.
Well, this is why, guys, she's not going to get rid of her boobs, because the moment she does, everybody will be able to see how out of shape she is, because proportion-wise,
Oh yeah,
now
absolutely.
she looks good with her
Well, yeah,
boobs
because
on.
if she got rid of her boobs, like her boobs will be resting on her stomach. Like her stomach will be a shelf for her stomach will be holding her boobs up. Right now, they stick out, they protrude past her stomach, and she needs that because it gives the illusion that she's in shape.
My purpose with this was not necessarily so that we could trash on.
So like, I
her
like how
doing
you're
that.
like making us focus on her boobs too, though.
But my point is it was convenient. It was fascinating how she gets a boob job, gets insta famous, and then, oh well, I thought about it, but then I decided not to.
It sounds nice to say that, because this will buy her some votes, maybe from people who are watching her content. But as I told you guys, you need to judge women based on their behavior and actions. You can't trust what women say.
Yeah, and you know, like, let me pull this one. I want to pull up another one from Allie. And the only reason why I'm not even gonna hate on Allie this time with this one, because she's right in this clip. Like, there's one part of this clip that I want to bring up that's important, because Allie
the
brings
red
it
pill
out
movement.
and hold on, shut up, you.
We need to get married to like the most submissive trad wife
ever.
That's the red pill. And then the trad movement, which is also just a weird part of conservatism, which claims to be a push for traditional ways of life, traditional marriage. And of course, I am a huge advocate, the biggest advocate of traditional marriage, and think we should elevate it. But this online sect that I'm talking about, that you've probably seen before, isn't necessarily talking about biblical marriage or biblical gender roles. There is a strange overemphasis in this community, if you will, movement, trend, whatever. I think it's a grift, but a strange overemphasis on the need to subdue women. And so just because someone is trad and trying to bring
it's like it's just like, you know, dominate,
yeah,
you know, like I hate the way that she words it, but right there, what she did say is right. She's like, they're talking about a traditional movement, like a traditional like family, but when most people talk about traditional family, they're talking about like a Christian or biblical traditional family, where it's like they go to church on Sunday, they do their prayers at night, you know, mom cleans up the kitchen, dad's at work, like that tradition, like all of the tradition with it, right? And she's right. Like, if you notice that the way that they're presenting themselves and the way that they're doing things, they're drawing attention to themselves. They say, look at me, look at me.
Mm-hmm.
If they were really traditional,
they wouldn't
as in the biblical words of traditional conservative, right? They would be doing anything just to show it to God. Like, they would not be, look at me, look how great I look. They'll be like, you know, thank God that I realized, like, they would be pointing their direction, all the attention back to him, but they're not, right? And they're talking about what they do, and they're singing their little songs, right? It's a grift.
Like, they're doing it all on camera for attention.
Yeah, because nobody knows what they're doing behind the scenes.
Exactly. Maybe I hope that she enjoys being married to this simp guy that she is married to. I'm not talking about Ellie here.
Yeah, no, I don't know who she's married to. And I agree with what she's saying, though. Like, what Allie's saying is true. Is like, just because they're thinking that they're trad doesn't make them traditional, right? And I bring up the question of, like, just because you have a trad wife, does it make you having a traditional marriage? You know, because the character that she's playing, it could be traditional, but you don't know what she is. And here's the other thing. What traditional conservative guy like that's running his house is really going to let her be on the internet like that and just constantly exposing her?
This was my question, and I actually called out his behavior on Saturday, and Ship is here. He knows that I was actually surprised because he, as a husband, if he portrays the traditional gender roles with his wife, right, he should have told her, he should have had the authority to tell her, look, sweetie, I don't think it's such a good idea for you to expose all of your lifestyle on social media. Instead, he encouraged her to do so, as you've mentioned. Offset, he gave her the leash.
Yeah, it's like you took her off the leash, right? And maybe he did. Maybe if he did do it, maybe he didn't think that she was going to garner the attention that she did. Because coming on social media, everything's hit or miss, right? You may think you're going to have the best little 30-second clip, and it may just not go anywhere, right? So the fact that he's like, oh yeah, go ahead, do your thing. Maybe she was like, I'm just gonna try this out. She tries it out and it hits. And then now he's seeing the money coming in. He's like, oh, okay, cool. But wait to the point where she's starting to run the show.
She started to make more money. Divorce is not far behind.
Well, it's not just that. She's getting recognized. She's going on talk shows. She went on Michael Knowles' show, and Michael Knowles did an interview. She's been on other shows and doing interviews. She's gonna start it's gonna get to her head, right? I'm this star now, and watch, he will go away. There will be a divorce.
Yeah.
Or something will happen. She's gonna slip up, and because obviously she's not like a 10, right? We know that she's not a 10, and
she thinks she is, maybe.
Oh, she thinks she is, but she's not. And she's on the little thicker side, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's guys that like that. But she's going to be getting all this attention. She's getting all this attention from guys that are in better positions than her husband, or maybe less positions of her husband. But the fact that she's getting flooded with attention that she's never had before.
Male attention.
Male attention. She doesn't care if women hate her. She just doesn't care about that. You know why? Because she knows that their husbands love her.
And she can pull one of them anytime she wants.
Exactly. I mean, I just read you guys the article where a guy literally started complaining to his wife about her cooking and the way she looked and filed for divorce because he's been watching her for the past few months. And although I don't blame her for it, I think the wife that's getting divorced is making an excuse, is trying to blame her and trying to put it on her. I think that she probably the wife let herself go and wasn't caring about how she presented herself, right? Didn't care about whether the food tastes good or not.
Probably nagged him.
Exactly, nagged him. She probably put zero effort in, and the fact that he started complaining about her lack of effort, and she probably didn't do anything to change it.
But the fact that he brought this woman on social media to his wife as an example.
Well, I mean,
maybe we don't know.
Maybe he's like, you know what? Why don't you do this?
This girl does it on
if she's a stay-at-home wife, if she just all she does stay at home, and she doesn't even get herself ready to see him, or just be presentable.
Yeah.
He's probably like, man, you're a slob. You're lazy. What do you do all day?
You're not attractive.
You're not attractive.
I agree with Esty Williams. Some of the message that she's sending out to women, if women were listening to her, maybe, but she's not targeting to women because she would have presented herself in a different way if she was trying to talk to women and convince women. No, she's talking to men.
I'm going to say it another way, though, because this is where I think it benefits. For guys, I'm telling you guys right now, enjoy this. Enjoy this. Because let's say it's a grift. Let's say I'm right and it's a grift. The women that, as long as she runs that grift, and the girls that jump on her bandwagon to run that grift, because there's more than just her. There's
Oh,
now
yeah.
it's actually like international. Like I have a clip from the UK and they're talking about this, and they brought a UK trad wife on, and it's like it's international now. It's not just localized in America.
Well, women realize that feminism doesn't sound appealing anymore, so they need to find a different group that would bring them more attention and what they want.
Well, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm gonna pull up this other video where this lady actually says that this girl calls it out for what it is, and I was like, damn, she is so right. And I was glad that she did, because like somebody needed to, but I thought she was coming at it from a bitter place.
Or unconventional things.
Hold on, I thought she was coming at it like from being bitter. She's not being bitter. She's actually rather smart when she calls it out. So hold on, let me get to it.
Way to gain male attention. Very much like she's a girl that when she met her husband, he told her that he wanted a trad wife. And actually, I could see men in the red pill movement. And if you're finding yourself at a point in your marriage where you're needing to track your spouse.
Okay, here we go.
Part 2 of some conventional or unconventional
I thought it was
things me and my husband
later
do in
on.
marriage. So the first one is I don't leave the house after dark by myself. This is not a control thing. This is a safety thing. I've had a couple encounters and I don't wish to have any more. Along with leaving the house, I always notify my husband when I'm going to go somewhere and when I arrive. It's safety. Why not, right? And we always share locations with each other. I really recommend the Life 360 app. It notifies you when your partner arrives or leaves, and it notifies you if their battery is low. I love it.
What? That is probably the worst advice I've ever heard anybody give. Sense. Second thing that she said that struck me as creepy was that she always asks her husband before she leaves the house. Okay. She always will notify him or ask his permission or whatever, and then tell him when she gets to her destination. She also has an app where he can track her location and how much battery life she has on her phone. And if you're finding yourself at a point in your marriage where you're needing to track your spouse, either you don't trust them that they're going where they say they're going, or you're so paranoid that you're living in constant state of fear. So I don't know where she lives. And I've lived in many different places, but even in some sketchier neighborhoods in the city and stuff, I have never felt the need to ask my husband permission to leave the house. He's never felt the need to track my location or to keep me within the house after dark. I think that is insane. Unfortunately, a lot of men, especially I could see men in the red pill movement, looking at stuff like this and using this as their standard for a wife. Like, this is what we want our women to behave like.
It's
And a lot
always
of
been
women
my
will mold
standard.
themselves to be like that. A lot of women are like chameleons, right?
I've
And so
had
they see
this
a guy that they
standard
like
since
that has a certain
before.
standard they don't necessarily meet, they will shape themselves to fulfill that role. And a lot of men I could see using stuff like this, weaponizing it to control women. She does say that when she met her husband, he told her that he wanted a trad wife and that she actually dropped out of college to do this. Now, here's my question. This gets to the meat of the issue. What about this is trad? Is it the gender roles that she's talking about? Because when we talk about being in a traditional feminine role or a traditional masculine role, oftentimes it's looked at really superficially. So the way she is portraying this is very much like she's a girly girl, right? But that does not make a person traditionally feminine. If you have a masculine energy about you, she's talking against kind of like boss babes or whatever. And I think that's what this is. It's a pendulum shift to the other side from the whole boss babe feminist era that we're in. Would not
Right there. She hit the nail on the head. It's the pendulum swing from going from boss babes, I don't need a man, to I want a man, I need a man, right? And I'm going to be this like housewife. It's an extreme. So we went from one extreme to I don't need a man to I serve my man.
So,
right?
So Glenn, I've this is something that I've been talking about with Elena offline a lot, but we have become a society of form over function. And when you have no function, when you have nothing in your life that like defines your purpose or anything, you're just going to swing from different forms to different forms, and that gives rise to this extreme.
Yeah, like this is, but here's the thing. I wish it wasn't a grift to a degree, because let me here's the reason why. Let me go over this with you guys. The three main scriptures in the New Testament that talk about submission. You got 1 Peter 3, right? You got Ephesians 5, right? And then you got Titus 2. All of them support, like they all support what this girl's doing, being submissive, being a woman that works in the home and takes care of the home and takes care of her husband, right? Like it all supports this. So that's why I said I wish it was legit. I wish it wasn't a grift. But what women are not dumb. They have heard for the past 2 years, right? Fresh and Fit and everybody that has a panel show podcast where they bring women on and they're calling them whores, they're calling them sluts, they're calling them like your body count is, matters. They're just telling them they're telegraphing to all of them that they are not worthy the way that they are. They're not marriageable this way. This right here is marketing and saying, oh, this is what men want now. Got it. Hold on. Let's bring it out. Because it is it's just too convenient, right? And also look at the fact that we are going into an election year. We're going into election year, right? It's going to be very polarizing, right?
Well, I figured they would start promoting the traditional values a while ago, because
this is where the OPSEC is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you remember what Ali Beth Stuckey said, that she thinks this is from the red pill. She thinks the red pill influenced this. The red pill's pushing this out there, and as if she blames us for everything. We're to blame. and it's like, okay, so if this is a way to blame us, then this is her them saying the red pill is trying to brainwash or convince women that they need to be subservient to men, but nobody's saying subservient. No, I love the fact that they all try to paint submission to be like slavery.
Yeah.
Right. If submission is slavery, then what is servant leader? Servant leader must be like the bad slave that gets beat every day. Okay. Like we're the lower slave. We're like less than a slave. Like we're not even human. Okay. Like that's if you think about it, that's what
we're
is.
We're the donkey.
Like we're not even that. Like we're the I don't even know. Like we're like the ugly child that gets kicked out. Like they don't disown us. They're the ones that go throw the baby away. He's broken. Just get rid of him. We're that. So but submission is not slavery. But that's how they paint it.
Yeah.
They always paint it out to be slavery. That's exactly how Ali Beth Stuckey was trying to point it out. Every time she mentioned submission, she was she
spits it out. She doesn't.
She was appalled that guys would want women to be submissive. She was so upset. Guys would how dare these guys want to seek women that are submissive? Because one, if they're Christian, it's in the Bible, so they should look for women that have submissive traits, that are signaling that they could be submissive to their husband, right? They shouldn't want a boss babe. They shouldn't want a woman that's going to be quarrelsome. They should look for a woman that is that shows him that, oh, she has submissive qualities. She would defer her authority to her husband. That's a good thing. But the fact that she is framing that women like her, I know this is a grift, but even though she's pointing out women like her are wrong. Why? Because she doesn't want men to have women that are that submissive. If it was true submission, she doesn't want her husband to see another man have a wife that's more submissive than her.
True.
Because now that girl's going against the grain.
Well, it would mean that oh no, maybe I'm not submissive enough. All of a sudden,
that's exactly what it would mean. It would be like, damn it, girl, you are setting the standard higher than what I have it set at.
I'm comfortable where it's set.
The rest of us Tradcons for the last 40 years have set the bar at this high. We all agreed not to go higher for even a second. But now you ladies are coming in here and you're putting the bar 10 rungs higher than us. And you're making us look bad. You're making us real Tradcons look bad. It's funny that the Tradcon, like I said, Ali Beth Stuckey was the one that was so mad about this whole thing. Why are you mad about it? Why are you mad about another woman in her life? That's not your husband that she's married to. Two, you don't even know her. So why do you care that she is displaying how she's telling people how much she submits to her husband. The only reason why you care about it, because you are the exact opposite contrast. Because she makes her level of submission makes you look more like a feminist.
But again, is it
Well-
true submission or she's only portraying it on camera?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Though. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if it's fake. What matters is that she's signaling to guys, hey, women could be this submissive, just like this. Oh, I know they've been telling you that they can't and they won't, or that it's wrong to even think that for them. But no, we're telling you, hey, it is possible, and we like to do it. So now they are literally pointing him out and making the Tradcon women look bad. That's the whole point of this whole thing. They're making the Tradcon women look bad.
Well, and Glenn, she would have to do this because she is a complementarian. And we just got done discussing why complementarianism is crypto feminism, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So she had her life set up where she had all the control. She's got her servant leader, right? Yep. Okay. And then all of a sudden, this other woman comes along and says, hey, look, I gave my husband this amount of control. And it's some level more. Yep. And she had all the comforts of the cult of complementarianism.
That's exactly what it is. Because what it was is that complementarianism, and well, we already know egalitarian guys have no authority, right? Complementarianism, guys have the pretend authority, right? They don't even have authority, but they think they have authority, right? And it's like, but this woman is literally deferring authority to her husband. Like, even if it's a joke, even if it's all BS, the fact is that she is telling everybody that she defers all this authority to her husband. Now, let her husband watch that video and like, damn, huh?
Could Allie, could you do this?
Well, it's not even like, could Allie do this? He's probably wondering, like, what is that guy doing? Like, what did he do? Like, how did he get her like this? Like, did he do it? Did she come like
this? Beat you?
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So what it does now is like it requires the real Tradcons to either have to like change, or instead of changing, what are they doing? They're shaming. They are attacking. They are saying that, like, she's basically.
Well, they're saying red pill. They're
yes.
They're accusing her of being red pill.
Yep.
St. Williams, that's the name of the girl. She is not red pill. She's
no.
not
well, the funny thing is,
not
like,
close.
Like, she's not only saying that they're red pill, like she's blaming all this on the red pill.
Yeah.
As if like
we don't talk to her, guy. Like
somehow, like somehow we have like some control that we like have this like, I'm sorry, we're not the feminists. We didn't infiltrate the church and just start like, brainwashing people. Okay. We say something that's like masculine and you guys call us toxic. So we don't even get our foot in the door. Can you pull up this other one? I'm going to pull up the part where Ali is talking about the difference between the Tradcon.
The red pill movement. Some people on the right, love to play the women are dominant have caused most of the societal problems that we have today trope. They love to play on that trope.
But it's true.
And there's crossover between this and that's the red pill, and then the trad movement, which is also just a weird part of conservatism, which claims to be a push for traditional ways of life, traditional marriage. And of course, I am a huge advocate, the biggest advocate of traditional marriage, and think we should elevate it. But this online sect that I'm talking about, that you've probably seen before, isn't necessarily talking about biblical marriage or biblical gender roles. There is a strange overemphasis in this community, if you will, movement, trend, whatever. I think it's a grift, but a strange overemphasis on the need to subdue women. And so just because someone is trad and trying to bring back tradition doesn't actually mean that they are talking about biblical marriage, where the husband loves the wife as Christ loved the church, and that the wife submits to the husband as to the Lord. it's really more about, it's really a reaction to modernity, a reaction to feminism, which I understand to some degree, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's Christian. Complaining about feminism constantly, claiming to be the antidote to that as a trad wife or a trad family. These people may say they're Christian or they're Catholic because they see that really as a part of tradition. But a lot of these people don't know their Bibles. They like leave out or how,
hold on.
right?
Do you see what she did? She tried to discredit the people. Like, this is why, like, you could tell, like, she doesn't like this. She just tried to say, like, they may claim to be, you know, Christian, or they may claim to be Catholic, but they don't know their Bible. She's trying to poison the well. Because even if this was why is she attacking it so much? Like, if anything, she should be like, as a Christian, she should be like happy or glad that these women are obeying the Bible and being submissive, like Titus 2 says, like Ephesians 5 says, like First Peter says, like the Old Testament even points out. Like, but why does she doesn't like it? And the way that she frames subdue, nobody's trying to subdue anything. If you notice, this trad wife allegedly willfully defers all this. Her husband doesn't have to ask. She gives it to him. She seeks his opinion out. She asks him, like it's all on, like she does it. It's not him like controlling her. It's her giving it to him. And exactly,
but the only way that she can, because what she's trying to do here is a tactic that we see a lot out of the feminist movement. She tries to attach something she doesn't like to red pill.
Yes.
And then says, oh, see how bad this is. And
well, it's like she's trying to say, like, you know, the red pill has pushed this, like, because, like, you know, like, oh, the red pill is always talking about submissive women, and they're talking about women that are shaking their butts on Twitter or whatever, and they're dressing like skimpy at the gym, like, and all those guys like saying, like, they're talking bad about those, like, that's what she says in this video. And it's like, yeah, and so we're calling out bad behavior, and, you know, you guys are, you ladies ain't doing it. You're not calling out the bad behavior amongst yourselves, so we'll do it for you. You know, like, we're here to help you out. We're here to lead.
Well, as a fun side note, both times she mentioned red pill, she scratched her nose. Elena will probably get what I'm getting at
tell.
here. Well, it's a very specific tell.
There's a lot. Tell?
So there's a lot of erogenous tissue in the nose. She might not like the red pill, but
but you say it arouses her?
She feels some type of way about the red pill.
Allie, how dare you?
You know, it's not enough on its own, but it is interesting that she says red pill scratches her nose twice.
So let me finish her playing this.
Porn like.
Okay,
then we have actual Christians. Strange overemphasis in this community, if you will. Movement, trend, whatever. I think it's a grift, but a strange overemphasis on the need to subdue women. And so just because someone is trad and trying to bring back tradition doesn't actually mean that they are talking about biblical marriage, where the husband loves the wife as Christ loved.
I want to point out, like, how slow she's trying to figure out what's the next part of this verse, like, because she's saying it backwards, by the way. It's wives, submit to your husbands as you know, the church submits to Christ, you know, right? And then it goes, husbands, love your wife like Christ loved the Lord. But like, she gets this part right, but listen to the cadence of her speaking right now. Okay, it's funny.
The church and that the wife submits to the husband as to the Lord. It's really more about, it's really a reaction to modernity, a reaction to feminism, which I understand to some degree, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's Christian. Complaining about feminism constantly, claiming to be the antidote to that as a trad wife or a trad family. These people may say they're Christian or they're Catholic.
Right there. She's putting out doubt. They may say they're Christian or Catholic. This is not biblical marriage. Well, how do you know?
Well, she gets to define what that is.
gets to-
Exactly.
yeah.
She's trying to say that she's the arbitrator of this. She's the decision maker. She has the authority to speak on what is this and what is not. And she's trying to frame this as like this by any means, by no means, could be anything close to biblical marriage.
Well, just because she has the title of a Tradcon, you know,
But that-
she
but
thinks
that's
that she has
why.
the privilege to determine where everybody stands.
Well, the reason is nobody has a challenge them. You don't challenge the Tradcon women. Those are the Karens of the world. Okay. They will call your manager. They will write a letter to the senator. Okay. They will ruin
They
your
will talk
life.
to your pastor.
Yeah. They will get you kicked out of the family like club or the family court, park, because you don't view with them. Okay. Like it just, you don't mess with them, especially the white ones, because the white ones are real bad. They have the numbers to like the police, and they got like they're good friends with like everybody. Like they do the bake sales. Your kid will never get on like the baseball team. Okay, she will ruin your family's life. That's that kind. Okay, and it's like just the fact that she's framing it. Just think about the way she's framing it when she's trying to put question their belief. She's trying to say they're not this. They claim to be this, but they're not really this. That's what she's saying. So she's trying to put doubt. She's trying to say like they're not biblical. And the question is, why is she doing this? Why is she going out of her way? Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know beyond a shadow of a doubt whether or not these people are really Christian or not. But why are you trying to like show a distinction, like saying like this is not Christian? You don't know. You don't know what they are. You're assuming this, but you're trying to make it seem like a matter of fact. And the question is why? Because she doesn't want men to want this. Because if men want this, if her husband wants this behavior, now she has to change. She would now have to step up to the plate. Because right now she's trying to defeat competition. This is intersexual competition. This is not intrasexual. This is intersexual. This is women against women right now. And she's blaming the red pill as if we're the problem for their intersexual competition.
Yeah, how many times Roloff has been inviting the Tradcons? I just saw the comment by the Smoking Patriot.
Yep. I mean, and I know Michael Knowles because I had the email. Like Michael Knowles' team emailed me to do the Rolo interview, and they wanted him to sign an NDA, and they were going to pre-record everything, and it wasn't going to be live. So that means they were going to cut it and edit it the way they wanted to, and they would do it the way to make him look bad. And he's like, "No, we're not doing this." And I told him no. So they don't want to have a conversation out of good faith. They won't do it live, And I'm not even trying to hate on Allie Beth Stuckey or Lauren Chen, right? Like, because I do like the fact that they are conservative. I do like the fact that she's a Bible believing woman. I'm happy for that. But what this shows me right here, the way that she's attacking this, she's a feminist, closet feminist. Whether she wants to admit it or not, she's a feminist. Because
I don't think she recognizes that she is.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think she realizes it, but she's a feminist. And if she's not, she at least sounds like one right now.
Well, I have the same problem when I'm dealing with the women in my family. I have to go back to the Seneca Falls Convention and say, here's what they said.
Yep.
Oh, that's exactly what fell out of your mouth. Oh, because we're so far removed from any of this that their grandparents were feminists.
Yep.
There's nobody left alive today who knows what life was like before feminism.
I will tell you this. My grandmother's like 96, 97 years old, right?
Yeah.
Her generation is probably the last real Tradcons or the last real like traditional like wives.
Yeah. That's probably as close as you're going to get.
Because although feminism was coming up at that time, like there was still like my grandma's Italian, so they were coming from the old country. Like they weren't really Americanized until like later on, like 40s, 50s, like till like my dad's generation, really. So it's like no, like that 96, 97 is probably the age is the last real, Tradwife. Everybody else is a knockoff or a contemporary version, right? Because like you think about it, the girl that they're like she's arguing about, or she doesn't like, is actually cooking at home, taking care of the home. She doesn't work. What is a complete contrast from Allie? Allie has this podcast. She works for the Blaze. Somebody's watching her kids for her while she's doing this.
Probably the dad.
The
Well,
dad,
I
the
could
dad
tell
or a
you that-
babysitter. Do you see the difference? It's like this woman is dedicated to the home and taking care of her husband. This woman is chasing her career.
Well, Glenn, Esty Williams is also chasing her career in a way. You could make that argument because she doesn't have kids. If she
But it's
was
not
an
what's being
authentic,
portrayed. It's not what's being portrayed.
Right. That's what
It doesn't matter. Yes, we know she's chasing her career. We know it's a grift.
The
But
women
that's not
see her
what's
doing
being
it.
portrayed.
Yeah.
She's saying, I'm making my career in my home. Like, that's the difference. She's in a studio. She travels. She speaks for Fox News at times.
yeah, I get your point.
There's a contrast. It's I do this at home as a hobby, and then this is I'm chasing my career. I want to be recognized for being something more than a wife. That's the contrast that the Tradwives are showing them. Whether it's legit or not, I think it's a grift. But even if it's a grift, it's still making the Tradcon wives, the real Tradcons, look bad. It's telling them you better step up or we're going to take your men. That's what it's saying. And it's just like when somebody new comes to the team, or when you hire a new employee and they're like really on top of things, while like all the other employees are kind of relaxed and comfortable and they don't put a whole lot of effort in things, right? But they get the new guy that comes to work and he's all like hot shot, right? Like he's like brown nosing, he's trying to kiss butt to make them look bad, but he's not really doing that. That's just how he is. But the other older employees don't like him because now they have to either work as hard as he is, or they have to convince him to not work as hard.
I have seen this. I have been in an office.
Exactly what this is. Exactly what this is.
Men do it too.
If you can't convince them to work, less to get to your level, to just don't go above your level, right? You have to attack them and point out that they're bad, or point out that they're wrong, or something. You have to discredit them in order to maintain your position. That's what this is. This is like, although I know it's a grift, but she doesn't. That's why she's attacking it. If this was a grift, like if it wasn't something serious, it would be no concern to her. She wouldn't have spent 30 minutes during this stream to talk about this.
Well, although
only reason why she dedicated that much time to it, because it threatens her.
Well, I think it's more important that not that even that it's a grift or not to Allie. I think she's just looking at this going, what happens if some other woman looks at this and decides not to treat it as a grift, but to actually do it? And then what if other women start to do it and they start posting on TikTok and they start saying, hey, look, ladies, it works. I get all this cool stuff from my husband. He takes care of me. I have this sweet life right now, right?
And the thing is, that's what it has come. Like, I mean, it blew up here in America, right? And now, here's how you know the grifty ones from the real ones. The grifty ones are all over social media talking about it.
Yep.
Look at me. Look what I do, right? But the other ones are seeing this, being inspired by it. Maybe they see that their husband, made a good comment or a positive comment about it, right? And they're realizing, oh, this is what he would like. He wants me to be more like this. Okay.
I like him enough to do it.
Exactly. If they like him enough to do it. The women
if they like him enough to do it. My concern is, Glenn, I know that we are talking that maybe she's a grifter, maybe she's not, but she might inspire some women. I look at women from the standpoint that monkeys see, monkeys do. If women see there is something that brings them more attention, they will do that thing. So now they see Esty Williams, and I have nothing personally against her. Okay, I don't agree quite with everything what she's saying there. I'm not saying that it's a bad message per se to be sent out to women, but the way she does it, it's just questionable. Okay.
Well,
And
the
then,
reason why it's questionable is because one is partly because of her age.
yeah. And
She's,
she hasn't been married for long enough
Yep.
to actually promote this. And I think that she's definitely grifting out of it. But my concern is that other women will see her do it and they will start making all of these videos and showing off to men, like, look at us. And
they're already there. They're already doing it.
Yeah.
Right. There's other women already following in her suit and posting videos and, like, you know, just like doing the whole thing. But they're not LARPing. Like there are other women that are really doing it, and you could tell because they're not posting their whole lives on it. Like, if they're really doing it, they're not bragging about it to everybody else.
Yep.
They're keeping it in tight. Because if you're really about it, if you're truly really about it, you don't need to tell the world
Exactly.
about it, right? Like, you know, the Bible says, don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. Right? Like, in a sense, like, don't be seeking the praises and accolades of you know, people. And you know, if you want your blessing from God, if you're doing this because you want to be obedient to God, you're not going to go out there and show the whole world. Like, you're just going to do it, right? And you don't care if everybody sees it. You're doing it for another reason. The fact that they're doing it and they're putting on social media and they're like really pushing this is because they're not doing it for anybody else other than the male attention, the guys that are complaining about their wives, the guys that wish their wives would actually be more submissive, the guys that are wishing their wives would actually sleep with them. These women are showing these guys like, hey, guess what? We're out here.
I'm this woman.
Look, I'm over here.
Who is here on my radar so that
Yeah.
I can swap my husband with and monkey brain.
It's literally getting beta orbiters in their DMs without having to show a tit.
Well, okay, so Christianity, would this be such a bad thing?
It's not. That's the thing. I'm like I said, I really wish it was legit. I really wish it was legit. I wish I could say like this was like the moment that things started changing, that things started going back to center, right? Like, I really wish I could say that, but you could tell that it's not it is a grift. The reason why you can tell it's a grift is because the women work in the hive mind, right? Women have the hive mind. It's community based.
Yep.
If this was a big movement, right, and it's getting all this positive attention, a lot of more women would be involved. You would have probably like the most radical feminists, like purple haired, you know, buzz cut, you know, feminists, those ones that look like men, be the ones complaining about it, not housewives that look like Allie. Okay, not women like this, because women like this would have embraced it if it was truly a movement that was like gaining steam, that they were getting behind.
You are correct. I want to add on, though, because I think there is a risk here of women realizing that it works, and then they start putting on the Tradwife skin suit and suckering men in.
Oh no, that's what they're already doing, though. That's
Right.
that's what these ones that are LARPing are doing. They're really doing it to gain. It's like, you know how Rolo says, like, if a woman's on social media and she's posting pictures of herself or sexy pictures of herself on social media, she's signaling that she's still available, like she's still on the sexual marketplace.
Yep.
Right. These girls are just doing it covertly. They're not selling sex. They're selling happy wife or like good
experience.
Wife. So they're selling good wife.
They're selling because we have this view of the 1950s.
Yes.
And it is a view that I don't think is actually true. I think it's been filtered through the media.
It's definitely not like what she's selling you is not the real 1950s. Okay.
Right.
You got to remember there's a lot of abuse for women that was going on there. Okay. Everything was not all peachy keen. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. There was also racism going on a lot back there too. All right. That was before the Civil Rights March. All right. There was a lot of things that were not cool back then. All right. So
right.
She's romanticizing the 1950s.
She's
Yep.
romanticizing an aesthetic,
Exactly.
which
So-
is romanticizing form over function. I would much rather have a wife that behaves a specific way,
Yes.
and may or may not dress according to the 1950s norms, okay, than I would somebody who dresses and play acts the 1950s.
Yes.
But in reality, I still have to put up with the covert feminist.
Like remember, you ever seen like the Rockabilly Girls?
Yes.
They wore 1950s clothes. They wore the pinup clothes like
Yes,
Esty.
yes.
You know, but they weren't behaving like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't like acting all that submissive. Like, they just wore the Rockabilly outfit. It's like a genre of like of people, right? And there's a lot of them out there still. They're all Rockabilly. I like the Rockabilly people. They're cool, you know. But like, they're not even trying to like pretend to be like, you know, trads. The fact is, what she's really trying to do is because and this is where I give some credit that maybe like she heard some red pill talking points, because a lot of guys say like they want to go back to the 1950s. They want a time machine, you know, especially not necessarily the red pill, but especially the traditional
Tradcons.
conservatives.
The Tradcons,
Exactly.
yes.
The real Tradcon men would love a time machine to go back to the 1950s.
I'm thinking about. I have this vision of Michael Knowles.
I was gonna say it's Michael Knowles, it's Matt Walsh, it's Ben Shapiro, right? It's those guys that want a time machine, and if you hear them when they even talk about marriage, they talk about it in the sense from a 1950s time, right? They don't talk about it as if it's a current, like what's going on today in marriage. And that's why, you know, they're like when Rollo talks about like, hey, they're playing by two different sets of rules.
Yep.
You want to play, Matt Walsh, by the 1950s playbook of how husband and wives are. But we're in 2023. So you want us men to play with the 1950s rule book while these women are playing with the 2023 or 2024 current rule book, right? And there's different rules. It's a totally different game. But what Esty is selling in all this, she's actually selling the 1950s playbook as it's something legit again. That's the difference. She's actually not just selling like the aesthetic. She's saying, oh no, I'm like this. And all these other girls are like, okay, and I'm like this too. And it's shaking the Tradcon women's like in their boots. They're losing their shit. Because really, why would you care what this woman is doing if you were secure where you're at? If you weren't insecure, if this was not even a remote little threat to you, you wouldn't even give it the time of day to talk about it. Unless you're going to either prop it up and say like something good about it. But if you're dedicating this much time to attack it, you're attacking it because you don't want men to like it. And you don't want other women to follow suit, because if that happens, now you have to step up to the plate.
I actually wish we could have Esty Williams to talk to her and sort of direct her in terms of intersexual dynamics.
Well,
and
I would grill her if she was on. I would grill her.
Not now. She
won't.
She won't.
No, she won't. And she's making too much money going on big name shows.
Big media. Well, this is why I'm like, this is a grift most likely, because if she really was concerned about men and women getting together, being married, right, and promoting this message instead, she wouldn't be going on the big media. She would be actually trying to solve the problem.
Well, I mean, yes and no. You know, it would first be a more grassroots movement. Right. And it would stay grassroots for a while, a lot longer than it is now. And then she would end up, you know, probably going on like a Oprah or like, you know, something like that. You know, the fact that she went on Michael Knowles is because she's virtue signaling to those group. She's virtue signaling to Michael Knowles' audience. All right. Which is a bunch of traditional conservative men. It's like she's literally she's like saying, hey guys, your fantasy is real. It's real. We're out here, right? It's like, remember like 2 years ago, like the feminists were calling like conservative women pick-me's?
Yes.
these new like Tradwives are the ultimate pick-me's.
Oh, yes,
The
you're right.
ultimate pick-me's. They're like pick-me's on steroids.
So, well, the feminists, they're going to get around to picking on these girls.
The
And-
feminists are not even going to bother with them. The feminists don't care because the feminists are more concerned about the conservatives that are still somewhat conservative. The feminists they're not going to get involved because you remember, my enemy of my enemy is my ally. These
fair enough,
women
yeah.
are the feminists' ally because they're such a polar opposite. It's going to force the traditional conservatives, right, either to join the feminists, like go more left instead of staying center, right, or they're going to have to force them to go towards these new Tradwives, which, as you can see, they're the Tradcons right now don't want nothing to do with them. They're doing everything they can to shame them, to talk bad about them, like to belittle them, So it's like they are like the feminists benefit from these girls right now.
Yep.
Because they're not these girls are not recruiting feminists. If anything, if the only people that would even move an inch on this towards their direction would be the Tradcons.
Which is okay. So in that scenario, playing it forward, excuse me, sorry guys. If they're actually going to do this, then the men are going to have to stand up and say, "Are you actually this? Are you actually doing this, or is this something that you're just doing because you think I'll like it and I'll pick you?" Right? Because there is something to the pick me problem.
But here's the thing: the guys don't care. They don't care how if it's real or not, right? They like what they see, right? And
that's how you get a feminist in the door.
Yes, but here's
I'm trying to say it as a warning to the
or
men,
like
right?
as if the feminists will use. I think they're feminists. I really think they're feminists, masquerading as Tradcons.
Yeah.
But it's going to do one or two things, right? So you remember when so the Democrats of 1960, right, were a lot more conservative than they are today. Right?
Yeah.
So what happened?
Southern flip, yeah.
So when the Democrats became more liberal and they went more left, right? It either drew the majority of the party left, or what did it do? It made those that were more like centered, liberals, like moderate liberals, go more conservative, right? So what this is doing, since this is such an extreme to the right, it's a draw to pull the ones the Tradcons that are more center to the left, because they're going to say like, hey, you don't want that. That's like almost like back in the day, like 1920. We got away from that, didn't we? Don't you like? You want to repeal the 19th, ladies? That's what these girls want. These girls don't want you to vote. We fought hard for our voting rights. You may not like feminism, but come on, you got to admit that quality of life is a lot better compared to what it was back in 1920. That's what these women over here are trying to do. That's how they're going to pull them over. They're going to pull the Tradcons from being where they're at closer to the left.
Okay.
That's my theory.
I don't hate it. I could see it playing out a few different ways because it could also fizzle out, obviously, and not go anywhere. Which
it's been picking up way too much steam. Like,
that's what the Tradcons want, right? The
Tradcons don't want it picking up steam. The Tradcons want it to die.
But the Tradcons want it to die, so they're trying to kill it right now.
They've been trying to kill it.
If they're successful, then they win. They get to keep their comfortable. We are this submissive bar.
You got to realize once big media started reporting on it, they lost. It's too late. It was better for them when they weren't talking about it. Even Allie's like screwing up because she's giving it oxygen just by talking about it. Because now people are going to be like, oh, what is this Tradwife thing? Let me look this up. Those that didn't know are looking it up now. She's giving it a platform. She should have just like didn't say anything about it. She should have just not reported nothing. Because then she would not have given it oxygen.
Yeah.
You know, but reacting out of emotion, she's giving it oxygen. She's making it relevant. You know, so let me play the last bit of it here real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, while you're preparing, last time
Well,
I
just gotta
confused.
pull it up. Just pull it up because it's right there.
Oh, it's here. Okay, good.
So
because
Rusty,
they see
we were
that
always
really
gonna
as a
lose.
part of tradition. But a lot of these people don't know their Bibles. They likely have spent no time getting to know the person of Jesus at all. Again, it's just a reaction. And as I said, it's really a grift.
Try to discredit it.
Just ridiculous things about how terrible women are and all of this stuff. Again, that strange overemphasis on the submissiveness
That's the
of
fourth
women.
time
It's
she
very
mentioned submissive.
creepy and very porn-like.
Now
Then we
submission
have
is
actual
porn-like.
I
Christians
can't hear you,
who I
Glenn.
believe
Stop
do
your-
know their
Okay, hold
Bible.
on. You guys heard that? She's saying submission now is porn-like. She's trying to equate.
Porn with submission.
Yes. Do you not like she is like literally, whether she knows it or not, she's speaking on feminist talking points.
Yeah, but then wouldn't it equate the OnlyFans girls being more submissive than the Tradcon not wives, but the Tradcons?
Well, like the OnlyFans girls are less submissive because the OnlyFans girls will only do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
The OnlyFans girls aren't a threat.
Yeah, they're not a threat. They're not even a threat because most guys know that those women are not marriageable. Those women are not the ones that they're trying to marry. They're not the ones that they're trying to like, you know, they want to enjoy them. Yeah, they want to have fun with them, but they don't want to invest in them, right?
Mhm.
Like guys use them as more of a fantasy or as an outlet. You know, if they're married, they're using it more as an outlet. Like their wife is not, you know, doing this, you know, maybe kinky stuff, but this girl over here on the computer is doing it. So I'm going to tune into her kinky stuff, right? It's just an outlet that they're trying to like live vicariously through. They're less of a threat. They're not obtainable. That's what it is. Also, those OnlyFans girls are not obtainable for the majority of these Tradcon men, period.
She's saying that porn equals
Yes, well, like
submission.
yes, what she's doing is she's saying submission's bad, right? Like, and she's not saying submission's bad, but she's saying, you know how porn is bad? Porn makes you feel yucky, like it's bad, it's not good.
Okay, I
She's
see.
trying to equate that level of submission to something as filthy and dirty and you know, like just disgusting as porn.
Wow.
So this is an interesting comment here, in the sense of how it appeals to male fantasy.
Yes.
Yes. The whole problem that the Tradcons have is that what they're doing does not appeal to the male fantasy, and then all of a sudden, these Tradwives come along and they're doing all the things the men want, and then you get a divorce.
Yep. And they're like, and again, we already seen that guys are divorcing their wives over the fact that they're seeing this on TikTok, and then they're telling their wives like, hey, you know, why like I don't like the way you dress. You're not like presentable, or your cooking is bad. Like maybe the cooking has always been bad, but now he has the balls to talk about it because he didn't think that there was any other option. Now he sees this as another option over here. Like, wait a minute, I could get a woman like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to eat this disgusting food anymore. I don't gotta look at her like that in her pajamas all day,
sitting on the couch yelling at the TV.
Women are different. Hold on, let me go. I want this now. Yeah, I'm out. You know, like that's exactly what happens. The guy is like saying, I don't want to have to. I don't want to. I'm seeing that there's other options, and he probably told her like, hey, get it together, and she's like, how dare you, right?
Yeah, right.
And she doubled down on it, and he's like, all right, I'm out. She probably thought like she was never going to do that, but it's just like it's kind of. If anything, this is like the easiest, like that example is like, even though men don't have hypergamy, right? But that's the easiest like example to reference it to, right? Like, oh, well, I could get a woman like that. That woman's better than mine. I'm gonna go up for it. Like it's basically he's marrying up from where he was at. Like he wants to get someone like her, right? And his wife was less than that. And since she wouldn't rise to the occasion, he's leaving. So it's kind of like hypergamy in that sense, even though
to be fair, most men are not gonna grow that big a pair of balls and actually get out.
No, they won't. But it depends on. Here's the thing: it depends on how big this movement picks up, right? Because if it does catch more steam than it does now, then actually you might see some guys do that. You might see more guys do that because guys are going to be like, wait a minute, I'm the one that's paying for everything. Like, because this is the exact opposite of servant leader too. That's the other thing you got to look at. These women are not pushing guys to be a servant leader. The way that the Tradcons are pushing it, if they are, because servant leader is a good model, but it's not the way that it's supposed to be being used now. The way that it's being used now is not the right model of it, right? So,
well, here's the thing. I think the bigger risk for somebody like Allie is not that her guy ups and leaves her. I think the bigger risk for her is that he starts putting standards on her.
Exactly. That's the other thing. It's either a threat that he's going to force a change or a threat that he's going to leave. But either way, it's a threat to their comfortability.
Yep.
Because you got to remember, the Tradwives have been running the show in those Trad houses for like the last 40 years. And nobody's told them any different. Right? Because they had the biggest threat for the Trad wife was the feminist. And they knew like their husbands were not going to go leave them for a feminist.
Yep.
But now there's a threat. And you got women like her that don't like it. But let me finish this last part because this is the funny part. This is where she gets rather judgmental.
Who take on a form of this. They don't realize that they've actually been influenced by the secular red pill culture. They may or may not know that they're joining in on this kind of grift. They take on a form of all of this in a way that I believe is equally misguided and cringe. These are Christian men who care a lot about masculinity, or they talk a lot about masculinity, but their focal point when talking about biblical masculinity isn't typically strong manhood, but actually submissive womanhood. Like they too seem to believe that feminism is the cause of all of our problems, whereas I would say it is a symptom of our society's underlying sin and rejection of God.
Did you hear how she said that? One, she doesn't think that feminism is the problem. She says it's a symptom of the problem. Now, if she's trying to say like sin, like the sinful nature of the world, since we all since Adam and Eve sinned, like sins on the earth, right?
Yeah.
If she's trying to say that sin, that like the sinful nature, that we're all sinful, that's the real problem in the world. Sure, because that's where feminine that would say that's the origin of it, right? But what she's trying to do, the way that she's saying it, she's trying to minimize feminism. If you listen to the whole time, every time she was talking about these red pill guys blame feminism for everything, right? These Tradcon guys blame feminism for everything, and these patriarchist guys now also just talk about women's submission and blame feminism for everything. She's trying to show like a connection, like all these guys are the same, and she's trying to, by saying that they're just trying to blame feminism for everything, she's discrediting or trying to belittle the effect that feminism has had on our society.
Well, this is what I expect though, because okay, we've been talking about the origins of feminism and how it's in the church. Okay.
Yeah.
These guys, the Noelses and the Shapiros, that they are all of the church in one form or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
They cannot have an enemy that is also the church.
No, what it is that the most Tradcons men, they're in denial. The reason is they don't want to have to acknowledge the fact that they, under their watch, they let feminism in.
Right.
They don't want to have to acknowledge it. Once they acknowledge it, they're responsible to do something about it. And as long as it's not brought it up to their face, as long as they can keep on closing their eyes and turning in their head, they could get away with it. They could avoid accountability and avoid its responsibility.
Do you think that they are not aware of the because I see a lot of this when I talk to people. It's because everyone says, when I talk about the history of feminism in the church, they say, well, my church isn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's denial, but it's also, I feel like, an attempt to say, well, the church isn't actually responsible for feminism anymore, so we should be able to make feminism the enemy without making the church also complicit in that. You see what I'm saying?
Well, yes and no, because 1980 was not that long ago. All right.
Agreed.
That's when like we knew like egalitarianism was like front and center in public. That's when the evangelicals came out of the closet, as Nick Unplugged Christianity likes to say. Like they came out of the closet with egalitarianism in 1980, right?
Okay,
which forced the other part of the evangelicals to take a lesser position. Instead of patriarchy, they went to complementarianism, right? Which is more of a watered down version. So it's like they had to show a different stance. They had to they had to be somewhat different. They had to reinvent it somehow. And so it was like they both stepped away from what was being originally taught.
So you think this is more about trying to salvage complementarianism? Yes.
Like they don't want to address the fact that complementarians are just feminists that don't like abortions.
Okay.
Okay. Like egalitarians are just feminists, period. Because the original term for egalitarians was not egalitarian, it was biblical feminists. But they knew at that time that they were not going to get no guy to get behind that. I'm a biblical feminist. I'm not a patriarchist. I'm a biblical. No dude in their right mind would even do that.
So instead, we name it something that sounds better.
It sounds equal. It sounds like
Equal, yeah.
It sounds like all inclusive. But listen to this part right here, because this is where it's funny, because she starts telling people like, what a real Christian is.
Oh boy.
Oh crap.
And the Christian writing about feminism constantly claiming to be the antidote to that as a trad wife or a trad family. These people may say they're Christian or they're equally misguided and cringe. These are Christian men who care a lot about masculinity, or they talk a lot about masculinity, but their focal point when talking about biblical masculinity isn't typically strong manhood, but actually submissive womanhood. Like they too seem to believe that feminism is the cause of all of our problems, whereas I would say it is a symptom of our society's underlying sin and rejection of God. And their biggest concern is what women are wearing, how women are acting, the tone of voice women have. Rather than actually talking about what masculinity is, they spend a lot of time micromanaging women online. As most of you already know, if you have been listening to me for any amount of time, I am extremely conservative when it comes to gender roles. I do not believe women can be pastors. I don't believe they should preach on Sundays. I don't believe they should be exegeting scripture to a crowd of men and women. I've done several episodes on why biblically. Go back and listen to those before snapping at me. By the way, if you're more on the egalitarian side of that, just go back and listen to that episode. I say this as someone who has the capability of preaching. I have the capability of preaching. I could deliver a more biblically sound, persuasive, and dynamic sermon than most men in the pulpit today.
Really? Did she not just show her feminist card right there? Like, I mean,
I know, right?
I was trying not to vomit over here.
Like, did you not hear that? Like, it's not. She thinks that she's not able to preach because she's a woman. Like, because that's not that station is not like assigned to her by God. No, you can't preach because you were not created to preach. It's not your function. But that's how delusional she is. She's like, I'm capable of doing this. No, you are not. You were not created for that function. Okay, like the only things that work good is when you're working in their function, in your design function. Right? If we start crawling on our hands and knees like monkeys, our joints and everything will be getting beat up a lot more. Well, we would not be able to function that way for very long. Why? Because we were not designed for that.
And did you notice how much contempt she
Yes,
had when
I was
she
gonna
was
say that.
yeah, she was talking about strong manhood and submissive women. She really doesn't like the word submission.
Exactly. And then you see the condescending tone, like they're worried about what women are wearing and what are women, what,
Yeah,
and it's like,
that too.
so
Well,
wait a minute.
that's
So,
the standard. That's the standard feminist pablum of all man bad.
yep. And it's like, so wait a minute. So you have a problem if guys having an issue with women dressing provocatively? You don't want guys to call that out? You don't want guys to have a problem with that? So you want them to lust. So you either want them to lust after these women, or you want them to have this taste for women dressed like that. Which one is it? Which one is it? You're mad that they're talking about women that are dressed in an inappropriate way.
Yeah, how inappropriate is inappropriate? Like in comparison to a porn star, they are plenty appropriate. I mean, they don't
Well,
wear this.
it's like, okay, so it's like, like the big talk right now is like the girls that wear those like leggings that are like damn near transparent or so tight you could see the outlines of certain body parts, right?
Yeah.
And then they do on the workout on them and stuff. That would be inappropriate. Like that's drawing. You're purposely wearing something that draws is in like, what's the word? It's like when you draw attention to it, it's like causing a magnet to those certain areas. You know how that looks on your vagina, but your lips are damn near going through it, and you're still wearing it, and you're still doing it in front of men. So you must want men or not care that men are looking at you there. If women didn't want men to look at them like that, then they wouldn't put things on to make them draw attention to those areas and be looked at like that. So for every woman that dresses like provocative in any manner or rather revealing, they're doing it intentional because they want to be looked at. They just don't want to be told that they know that they're doing it to be looked at. That is it. That insinuate, that's the word. Thank you, Phil. They're doing it, they're doing it intentionally, but they don't want to be called out on it. They don't want to be like, they don't want you to know that they're doing it for you to look at them, right? And normally it's women complaining about women dressing like this inappropriately because those women don't want their husbands to look at that woman, right? But this woman right here is mad. She is complaining that men are complaining about the way women dress.
Yeah.
So
like
Rusty
Fuel is saying, women have problem with the 50s dress, but are okay with the one-piece swimsuit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't make her, you could just tell her level of distaste for this trad wife movement is not because she hates them. She hates the fact that they are doing trad life better than her. That's really what it comes down to. These trad wives, whether they're fake or it's all a game or not, they're still outshining her or women like her. And they can't have that.
Yeah.
Because you got to figure, they're the Tradwives, the Tradcons have been society's beloved. Those are your normal Bible girls, your normal church girls. They weren't the party girls.
Those are the girls you're supposed to marry.
Yes, those are the girls next door that you're supposed to marry. They have those were like the pick of the litter, right? The guys that say I'm so lucky that I got this little woman. She's my better half. That's their title. They're at risk losing that title. They're not going to be the better half. No, because compared to these other ones, to these trad wives, they look more like feminists. She looks more like a feminist in this video, just by comparison to these trad wives.
Well, that makes a lot of what she's doing here. She has to defend by attacking.
Yep.
Because if she were ever to be put in a situation where her husband comes and say, "Hey, you know, I don't want you on the podcast anymore. I want you at home more."
Yep.
Okay. Now all of a sudden, because look, all these other traditional women, they're just at home just cooking.
Yep.
And I think that's similar to what's going on with I want to be able to dress in leggings and go to the gym.
Yep.
But you can't call me out for it.
Well, it's like what Stucky is like she represents the girls that said, "I want my cake and eat it too," and they got their cake and eat it too.
Yes.
They weren't forced to have to be they weren't forced to have to work. She these are the type of women that are not forced to have to work, but they get to work if they want to. Especially, it's more like a hobby, right?
Yeah.
For her, it's like, I bet you podcasting started off as a hobby, and then it picked up. She got picked up by the Blaze, and now she's making an income off of it. So she's doing something she loves to do. It's not work to her. This is like a passion. This is fun for her.
Well,
so,
Glenn, I would like to add something here. This is where it begins. Because once Esty Williams gains more popularity, I bet she's going to convert it into her full-time job.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, if she does turn it to a full-time job, she's gonna be looked at as the woman that saved the generations. Because you got to remember,
oh yeah,
the baby boomer generation are the women that destroyed the generations. So, if anything, she's going to get the status of like Mother Teresa. Because she's going to be the one woman. Men couldn't eradicate feminism. But this woman, Esty, she came out and she eradicated feminism. She convinced those women to be more feminine and submissive and more, doting to their husbands. She's going to be known like the second coming. She might as well be like the title, the second coming of Jesus, like the way she is, like that's what they're going to end up praising her like, she's going to be pedestalized, even if she gets martyred, right?
That puts the Tradcons in a terrible spot, though.
Exactly. This in a position that they don't want to be in. Because right now, like the Tradcons look like they're lukewarm.
Yep.
And like, what does the Bible say that about being lukewarm? Jesus said, "You either be hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, I'm gonna spit you out." So right now, they're at the risk of becoming either being told that they need to level up, or merging to a side that they have not wanted to be on for a very long time.
Wow. Yeah. This is.
That's why I said there's a lot more going on here than what people are thinking. Like I'm seeing this because I'm like, as me and Nick are going through like, the whole like understanding how feminism got in the church and like how things have changed and then why things have changed and what were they changed from. You got to think about it, like the biblical patriarchist group. They probably really agree with this whole like Tradwives thing because their wives are like that. Like Pastor Joel Webben talks about his wife doesn't like read books that he doesn't approve of. What
do you want to bet that Mrs. Webben has her location turned on her phone?
Oh, I'm sure she does. And here's the other thing: it's like there's like Pastor Joel Webben's church does the head coverings. Women they don't have to, but they're encouraged to wear a head covering in the church, just like it says in Corinthians, because it says in the Bible, women are supposed to cover their heads, but men aren't. Right. So it's a form of also like a position too. Right. It signals that women
it's a signal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what church do you think Esty is attending?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know if she is in a church.
She did make a few posts about how she was dressing up for the church. This is why
she made a few posts with like certain scriptures written on them, but I think those are so easy to find out. Like they like this aligns with this. It's easy to sell it together. Mm-hmm. It's really like any Ephesians 22. You put that on like her picture, easy to sell. It says, "Wives, submit to your husbands," and everything. She looks like the poster child for wives submitting to their husbands. So yeah, she's just doing it. If she, like, I'm not saying she's not a Christian. I'm just saying it's great marketing, even if she wasn't a Christian.
Yeah, I would.
That's what I'm getting at. It just, there's too much there to question whether it's authentic or not.
Yeah.
I don't want to assume that it is. I also don't want to assume that she's not. I'm just saying that there's not enough there to prove that she is this.
Yeah, I'm telling you that I've seen a few posts that she made there, but I can't, say for sure.
Yep. And it's like, the funny thing is about Allie, this whole time she's talking about the red pill guys and all these men, right? Because she's not really wanting to talk about the women, right? Unless she's trying to say that the men have brainwashed the women, or that the men have, like, this is all from the red pill, right? They're like, they brought this on, they convinced these women to do this, right? Because she doesn't want to make an enemy out of them per se, because she knows that she knows that would just make them revolt. So she's basically saying, like, ladies, it's not your fault. It's those red pill guys' fault. Like, don't listen to them. They're idiots, okay? They're just misogynists. They just want to control you. Like, you just drank the Kool-Aid. Just don't drink any more Kool-Aid, right?
Which makes me thinking, like, if a woman was authentically traditional, which is not going to happen anywhere, right?
Mhm.
But let's just assume we found a perfect traditional woman out there. She would be pro red pill guys, actually,
Yeah.
because you
Well,
are
she would-
promoting.
I mean, maybe not red pill. Like, if she was really traditional, she'd probably get with a biblical patriarchist.
Well,
right?
at least, yeah.
Yeah,
at
like,
least that.
because pretty much, let's just say this: biblical patriarchy is the Christian version of, like, the red pill. Like, it is my opinion the best version of it, right? Because I hold a Christian belief, so I think it is the best version. I don't think complementarian is good. Me and Nick have discussed that. Complementarianism is just stupid. It's just like men pretending to be cops, but really they're just security guards. They have no authority. All right. And they think they have control, like, they think they have authority, but their authority is not able to be exercised unless it's to the service of his wife. So then basically, you want to talk about slavery? Well, there you go. There's your slavery, ladies. It's not you, it's him. And it's like, that's not good, right? That's against the Bible. And we already know egalitarians are all equal. It's like that's like socialism, So it's like, that's not good. So it's like, biblical patriarchy is the closest thing. It's the Christian version of red pill.
Okay, Glenn, I'm going to throw this up here for you because
Yeah.
it's coming in from you.
I've seen interviews with SD in which she seems authentic in her pursuit to traditional life, humble, present. No, like, hey, she very well may be, but you know what? You know who the best actors in the world are? Women.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how many women have falsely accused people of something that they did not do, and they were convincing enough to get a guy convicted? Good actress. You know how many women have falsely Amber Heard, for Christ's sake, she was such a good actress at pretending that that it was authentic, that she was able to ruin Johnny Depp's career.
The question I have is, does her authenticity matter?
Well, no, it does matter, because if it is legit, then yeah, great. I would love for it to be legit.
Right. But from the perspective of, say, the Tradcons, does her authenticity matter? I don't think so.
No, to the Tradcons, it's a threat either way, whether it's
right.
Authentic or it's a grift. It doesn't matter. It affects their way. It changes the status quo.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, you and I, Glenn, we might look at her and we might go, more power on you, girl, whether or not you are, authentic or not, because we're thinking we need more of this.
Yep.
But and it to me, it was interesting that Allie Beth did not try to go down this girl is possibly grifting, because that would be the easiest way for her to shut it up.
Well, I mean, because I just give you guys the snippets. Remember, she did this like for 30 some odd minutes, that she just on this one topic. And just in the 7-minute clip I just pulled up, there's a lot of information there. Imagine what 30 minutes of that is like. It's like a lot. Me and Nick went through it. It's a lot. Yeah, it's loaded. And Nick's the one that pointed to the fact that she's been trying to poison the well the entire time through the dialogue. He's like, "Do you hear this word?" Oh, I'm like, "Oh crap, you're right." Yeah, like she was trying to poison the well the entire time. And it's like the thing that brings that question to me, because she professes to be a conservative. She professes to like go back to traditional marriages, right? So, and biblical marriages. But her biggest gripe is the fact that the submission aspect. Well, then do you really want to go back to a biblical marriage? Because again, biblical marriage talks about submission.
But this is the language problem that I keep harping on. She thinks under her modern hermeneutic that what she is doing is biblical marriage.
No, she's hoping that what she's doing is biblical marriage.
Well,
Because
okay, yes.
because if it's not, and if she is right, if Este's right, and that makes Allie wrong, what is Allie gonna do? Is she gonna like obey what the scripture says and then give up that authority that she's been holding on to?
Or finally admit she's an egalitarian.
Exactly. Or is she gonna jump ship? And that will affect her brand. Now you gotta remember, Allie's a brand. Allie's a brand more before she's a person. Especially on here. Anything that she puts on here, this is her brand.
She can't jump. She can't jump ship. She has to defend her position.
Mm-hmm. To me, it's like either way. This is why I say for guys, it doesn't matter whether this is legit or not. Either way, you benefit. Okay, either way you benefit. Because if you're already married and your wife is not very submissive, if your wife is very combative, if your wife is, not like the girl, like if your wife is more like Allie than it's like Este, and your wife gets surrounded by all these women that are like Este, your surroundings influence you.
Absolutely.
She will eventually adopt, mimic behaviors, or they will adopt the group, right? Because women are communal. They want to be a part of the group. Women don't want to be ostracized from women group, right? And if the majority of the women start becoming like Este, then these women like Allie that are holding out are going to have to either surrender and concede, or they're going to have to abandon their convictions, which they have had for a long time now, and go, egalitarian, which I don't think they want to do either. I think they would rather go closer to Este than get anywhere closer to the lesbians and like all the feminists.
And Allie is not old enough to. She's born in the mid 1980s. Here, I'm gonna look the.
Yeah, like she's like in her late 20s, early 30s.
Oh no, it's she's younger than that. She was born in 92.
Oh, so she's in her early 20s.
She's 31.
Oh, 31.
92.
Okay, yeah, I said late 20, early 30s. Okay, I was right the first time.
Yeah. So I thought she was older than that.
No. I didn't think she was older than that. I didn't think she was nowhere near my age. Like you could just tell like she has kind of like the attitude like of a younger person.
Yeah. Well, but I'm thinking here, we talk about the big shift in the church in the 1980s. She has never known anything but that church from the day she was born.
What?
She's never known anything but the feminist church since the day she was born. She was born.
Well, yeah, the thing that most people, again, this millennial generation or millennials and zillennials, we have no reference to what church life was like prior to 1980.
Right.
The only group that knows what it was like and what was taught prior is the boomers and Gen X, right? And the Gen X was too young to probably really realize what was going on,
Absolutely.
Right? So the boomers were the only one that was there that knew.
And the boomers were fighting against it. So,
well, no, I don't think the boomers are the ones that adopted it. The boomers are the ones that put it into power.
Oh, right. No, they were. I meant they were fighting against the biblical.
It was like
they were trying to make the change.
Yeah. What was the generation before the boomers? Was that Generation Alpha?
No, before the boomers, that was what we call the silent generation.
Well, then those silent people are the ones that had it right the first time. If anything, those silent people were the ones that were fighting against it.
Well, the silence were they. So the silence come.
Or maybe the science didn't do anything because they're just silent.
There's a
just
whole
stayed
lot
out
of
of it.
that. There's a whole lot of that going on there. So the history of like the generations is long and fascinating and not germane to this conversation too much. The boomers were the ones who were driving the change to feminism. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
And so they were looking at what was happening and they're going, well, we don't want this. We're going to try to smash the patriarchy.
Yep.
And we're going to use the church to do it. No, okay. So they're not going to willingly teach their children how to behave in this other way.
No, they're raising their kids in the way that they want it to be, which would be the egalitarian way, or like, you know, what they did end up changing. So they would never remind their kids that according to them, they will make sure their kids know no other option. They would never heard of anything prior to, you know,
right. So that's why I keep saying there's really nobody left alive today. I mean, the silent generation is still there, but they don't have a voice anymore.
Yep.
So
and it's funny that you say that, because when they're talking about biblical patriarchy, like when I've heard even egalitarians or other like other like, you know, like even the soft complementarians talk about what biblical patriarchy is, they make them sound like they're extremists. They're
yes.
trying to, they want to go back to like servitude and everything, and it's like,
well, that is the framing that the boomers used.
Exactly, because you know that's where they heard it from their parents. That
yes,
you see what I'm saying? Like, so
yes. So the silent. So by the way, Joe Biden is a silent generation. He's the tail end silent, but
I wish he just would have stayed silent and not run for office. That's for sure.
Well, that yes, but for the purpose of this conversation, they have they're still around. There's about 2 million of them left.
Mm-hmm.
So they have no political voice whatsoever. They're never going to swing a vote.
Yeah.
And they're not social media. I mean, do you think boomers are bad on computers? Silents barely know what a computer is, much less a cell phone. So they have no way to spread their voice the way we do. If we're going to learn from them, we have to learn from them quick.
Well, I mean, most of them are in their 90s, or you ain't learning shit from them. Like they've already, they don't even know your name. You could be you could be the grandchild.
Right.
Like my grandma, my grandma has like she's losing it, right? I'm at Thanksgiving, I'm like, hi grandma, and she's like, let me guess your name. I'm like, all right, I'm sitting there 5 minutes. She doesn't figure it out. My grandma can't tell you, you know, like, so like, yeah, like, but the generation that we would be able to learn from,
they're done. They're out.
Done. They are literally just out of it, right? They're not able to do anything. And here's the thing: it's not so much like we need to like jump on this and like, oh, this is for our change. Like, no, I'm saying that we just guys enjoy this, because for so long, women have been putting men against each other, right? Women have been putting men at odds with each other. Now women are putting themselves at odds with each other for your attention. You have to remember that it's for your attention. What is gold in the girl world? Attention.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is going to get worse, because
this is all for male attention. This is what they want. They don't want to lose your attention.
This is so good. This is going to get so much worse, because we're seeing we have the collapse problems that we're having.
Yeah.
The markets, you know, they're doing crazy things, and that's not a good sign. The global system is falling apart. Just look around at the world. And all of a sudden, it's what I said. I said it months ago, but for the first time in history, and I'm not saying that these girls are better or worse, there is legitimate competition for male attention, because in Ukraine, Europe is having this problem big time right now.
Yeah.
5 million displaced Ukrainian women are now all over Europe. And I'm still seeing articles of of women complaining and men rejoicing that they're getting all this new attention from, let's be honest, some girls who've probably taken better care of themselves than in, say, the UK or Germany.
now this, like, the scripture I'm about to reference has nothing to do with this, but I just find this funny, right? I think it's like Isaiah 4, and Nick, just make sure I'm accurate on this, but it's like basically saying like it's a prophecy, right? And it's like, in this time, like, there'll be like 7 women coming up to men, like begging them to like marry them, right? And say like, we have our own food and we have our own clothes, just marry us so we don't have to live in our shame, right?
In that day, 7 women will take hold of one man and say, we will eat our own food and provide our own clothes, and only let us be called by your name, take away our disgrace.
Yep. And that's basically what I said, like, called by your name. That means that, like, this is my wife. Like, they take your last name, type of thing, like that's, or she belongs to the house of so-and-so, right? So it's like, I'm not saying that's like kind of what we're seeing here in a way, but like in a way, you could see like what you're talking about, like globally, like now we're talking about in a global sense. Yeah. Cause now you have more women that are not, that will not be feminist or not behave that way, that will abandon that path because they don't want to be left behind.
Well, and in some cases, if they're coming out of these cultures that have not been quite so infected with feminism, and look, Ukraine has its
well,
issues.
like, I'll pull up what Nick says. You're right, Nick. It's like after they acted like they acted for attention like whores in Isaiah 3. You're right. So it's like the feminists, like the OnlyFans chicks, are doing the OnlyFans thing, right? But now you have these like Tradwives coming out, and it's like pretty soon those girls that were selling their butthole are going to be like, wait a minute, I want to be a trad wife, and they're going to flip the script.
That's coming, but probably not until...
It's not anytime soon. It's not going to be until like guys end up holding on to a more moral and ethical position, right? And feel like if they watch the OnlyFans chick, they lose the option of getting with a woman like this beautiful, wonderful, submissive, like housewife. Guys would rather get the housewife than get the whore. All right.
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Yes. Guys would be like, look, I don't want the whore. I want to play with the whore. But if I had to pick right now, they're like, I'm going to go over here.
So Glenn, what would you recommend? I'm trying to sum up here because
let's wrap it up. The best thing for guys to do is enjoy it.
Well, what would you recommend?
Encourage it.
This is your benefit. This is to your benefit. Now, I do give a warning at this. Don't abuse this.
Yes.
Okay, because if you guys abuse this and you end up resembling anything that looks familiar to the guys that lost their patriarchy before by the abusing of their position and authority,
the evil patriarchy,
the evil patriarchy, then you will only make them reject it even more. Because you got to remember, how many generations has it been since women have been like this? It's been several generations. The last generation that was as like these women are either dying or dead. So nobody has anything to reference it except for history books that say something else. So if you do enjoy this, if you do play and act on this, do it right. Don't misbehave. Don't abuse this beautiful opportunity that women are now questioning or moving to a more patriarchal, more biblical position in relationships. Don't give them a reason. Don't hurt them. Then give them a reason to reject this. Okay, do right by this, and it can last a lot longer than what it could last. Because the other side, they want to crush it and they want to end it. They want you to act bad and act out of it, right? And just so you can.
Feminists are waiting for you to screw
exactly. They're waiting for you to drop the ball, and in a way. Honestly, we kind of seen that on Twitter yesterday. The whole reason why we did this, like the first show on this, was because the girl that was making cake, Isabella, whatever, and she started attacking Rollo and started doxing his daughter, because he was making comments on her, like comments about her, like basically saying like, because she was fully clothed, but she was wearing a shirt that's rather small, and she has rather large breasticles, and they were very much in your way. You couldn't miss them, even though they were fully covered. They were just rather there, and the way the camera angle was, it was like it was just like there. Like it showed more, like the camera was more on like her breasticles than her making the cake. And
So what
and so
would you
Lola was
recommend?
calling her out for being like, like trying to gain attention, like basically saying, hey, you're just the Christian version of OnlyFans, and she just went off on him and, started going off. But then you got Rachel Wilson, who is a Tradcon, right? But like a cool one. And she was calling her out too. So then that's when I've noticed it. I was like, oh my gosh, you got Allie, who's a Tradcon, attacking this. And then you got Rachel, who's attacking this. I'm not saying the way that they're attacking it is not right, because they know that these girls are not being authentic, right? So like I have no problem them calling them out for not being authentic.
Yeah.
But the fact that why they're calling them out is because they don't want them to have to measure
I
up.
really wish I could believe Esty Williams. I think that it's a good message out there, but like her credibility, I'm sorry, I just
like it's
I
like,
have to watch her like in 10 years, then I can say, oh, maybe okay, yeah, she has some sense there, she knows what she's talking about. But less than a year, or how long has she been married?
it's only been about a year. So
a year, not
like
enough.
guys, like honestly, this is not a safe step either. These women, you have to vet them harder than you vet the other ones. You already know how the other ones are acting. You already know what to expect from them too. Okay,
right.
But
this
these
is
ones,
what I was trying to say.
These ones are behaving completely different than the other ones, and although it's more appealing, it should bring up more red flags and more questions. And you should test this.
Yes.
You should test this way
Test
more.
these girls harder.
Yes. Like, not saying you
Why
gotta
are they so good, right?
Why
Why
are you guys, you gotta shit test them, okay? I'm not saying that. All right. But I'm saying, like, be on alert. Don't put your guard down because they're showing you what you want.
Yeah.
Don't drop the guard. That's all I'm saying. But definitely enjoy this.
Women are good at hiding their true faces in pursuit of what they want, and once they get what they want from men, there you go.
But no, that's all I got to say about it. Like, hey, enjoy this. Encourage this. Don't do wrong by this, but question this and test it. Make sure it's legit.
Yeah, and what would you recommend to women in case women are watching? Like, should they go on a Tradwives journey?
For the women that are watching, I would say this. I understand why you don't like this.
Yeah.
A lot of you think it's going back to a time where you were like a darker time in women history. One that let's just acknowledge that one won't happen for multiple reasons. One, you have already changed so many laws. The laws are not going back. Okay. Two, you already set the tone for a lot of things to be the way they are. It would literally take destroying everything that happened for the last almost 100 years and rebuilding. And I'll tell you right now that these Tradcons are not going to do it. And yeah, don't be distracted by women playing trad. Beware of the trad breasticles.
That's a good one. Rusty Fuel also wrote.
Yeah,
you.
Delilah was traditional. That's a good one. That's a good one, Rusty.
And I think he left you another one earlier. We missed it. Sorry.
It's like don't fall into the grift. Just be cognitive. Like this is either it's going to be a majority of a grift. You may get like maybe a handful that are legit about this, but just go into it like as if they're playing that this is a character that they're role playing. This is a fantasy. You're walking into a role play. Enjoy the role play. Play the character that you're supposed to play in the role play. Okay? Until it becomes a reality, just think of it as a role play.
And you can enjoy role playing.
Yeah.
but you have to understand that that's what you're doing.
It's LARPing. It's LARPing. It's kayfabe. Okay, just enjoy the kayfabe.
Yes.
All right, because you never know. Like, even if this only lasts like 2 years, but there's like a significant enough people are playing the role play, and if everybody's satisfied, happy with the role play, they may not stop playing it. They may actually end up adopting it. So there may be a good percentage of women that just end up clinging to this because they realize it's not that bad.
Fake it
All right,
till you
and
make
so
it.
like, I'll end with to the women on this though, like to the women that are seeing this, look up your Bible. Just do me a favor, read the scriptures that I reference in here. You know, Ephesians 5:22. All right. 1 Peter 3, I think 3, like 1 through 7 is a good, like, I think that's the whole thing, right? And then Titus 2, I think it's 3 through 4, verses 3 through 4. Just look at it, and it'll tell you like the level of submission, like they're all women are called to be submissive to their husbands, right? It's like it's to fall under your husband's authority. Your husband is the boss, all right, in the house. He runs the ship. That means because he's responsible for all of you that's underneath him. Okay, so let him play his position. Now, how you guys decide to work out what that level of submission is, that's a mutual thing. You guys got to figure that out. But it can't be to the point where he can't be domineering and dictating. That is never right. It's not going to be good, and that would not be good for the family. That's not what God calls for that for. He's supposed to be a loving leader, not a dominating dictator. All right, because that's a complete that's a conflict. That's just opposite of it.
He's not supposed to abuse his power.
Yeah, he's not supposed to abuse his power, but he's also and ladies, him correcting you is not abusing power.
True.
That's actually him loving you. Yep. Remember the part where it says, "Husband, love your wife like Christ loved the church," and he washed the bride with the word. The word is the Bible. The word is the scriptures. Why is he washing her with the scriptures? What does washing do? Washing changes the state from being one state, which is dirty. Through washing, you are changing the behavior of this body to something clean. That means you're removing the bad. That means you are correcting the state that person is in by washing them. So it's like washing and correcting is okay. That doesn't make him domineering. That doesn't make him a control freak. All right. As long as he's doing it biblically, you should encourage it. You should want that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and I think people misunderstand the submission. Like, Elena still does a lot of different things. She still makes a lot of different decisions. Some of them she has to run by me. Some of them she doesn't like the decisions I make. And some of them I look at her and I go, you do you. I don't have a concern about what decision you make here. You can have these conversations, but if I intervene, there's probably a reason I'm doing that. And you know, that's my job. That's my responsibility to intervene.
Yeah, I like what like Joel Webben said about this. He's like, if you get a wife that where you have to like micromanage and you have to always like be over her shoulder, then you pick bad.
Yes.
You failed, right?
Yes.
It's like, so like if your wife is a godly wife, a Christian wife that you guys are equally yoked on, then you shouldn't have to micromanage anything. It's more like it will be more like, you know, the owner of the building, or the owner of a business, and the general manager.
Yeah.
You're just meeting up every once a week type of thing, just to go over everything, make sure everything's running smooth. You don't have to lord over her.
Yep.
And the only way you don't have to do that is if you pick the right woman. If you not just picking the right woman, but you give her the tools that she needs to be successful in the role that she has to serve in your house.
And you let her do that.
Yeah, and you let her do it with confidence.
Yes.
You give her the confidence that you know that you could trust her to do it. Because if you start micromanaging and start loading over her, now you look like a control freak. Now you look insecure. Now you look domineering. and then now you're just being counterproductive from what you want. That's all I gotta say.
There it is, brothers.
Yep, Rusty, that's a good servant leader example. Oh, Captain Kirk and Spock. Yep, you're right. Both capable, both are very respectful. Yep, it's respectable. Yep, perfect.
Well, thank you, Glenn, so much for clarifying the difference. I actually made a mistake in the previous video. I have to admit it to my viewers because I called St. Williams a Tradcon because I didn't know the difference between the two. I thought they were the same, you know, like
like
whatever.
I mean, like Ali doesn't want you to do that. You know,
I
I would say just leave it alone. Just keep them calling them Tradcons. Hopefully they'll adopt. You
know,
know,
like both of them are kind
hopefully
of
they'll take over the Tradcons.
Or like maybe if you just keep on calling them Tradcons, like how they call everybody red pill that like calls out women for bad behavior,
right?
Like, maybe it'll be the same thing. Like, we'll just do the same thing that they're doing.
Right. Call everybody who is there grifting Tradcons.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for your super chats, for your comments. We appreciate you. We will definitely do more videos with Glenn. We enjoy talking to him a lot. So thank you, Glenn, for showing up today and educating us. Thank you, Plutarch, for your time. Always appreciate and love you. I'm going to take us out of here. And guys, if you have questions, please leave the comments in the comment section down below. We appreciate your questions so that we come prepared. And go follow Glenn. He's a fantastic content creator.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye.